Stories of prophets mentioned in both the Bible and the Quran. The stories of several prophets serve as the basis for both the Quran and the Bible, two of the most influential religious texts in the world. The common narratives highlight the significant influence these prophets have had on humanity's moral and spiritual advancement, regardless of the particular details and theological interpretations that may differ. In this video, we will explore stories of 10 prophets mentioned in both the Bible and Quran. Number 10. Adam. According to the Bible and the Quran, Adam is considered the first prophet and human. The Bible's book of Genesis tells the story of how God created him from dust and then breathed life into him. Before they disobeyed God and ate from the tree of knowledge, Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden. This caused them to be banished from paradise. This incident is also described in the Quran, which emphasizes Adam's status as the first prophet to receive wisdom and direction. Themes of repentance and God's mercy are present in both writings. According to the Quran, Adam was pardoned by God after receiving words of repentance. The basis for humanity's relationship with God and the idea of sin is laid out in this founding tale. Number 9. Noah. A key character in both the Bible and the Quran, Noah was renowned for his unwavering trust in God despite living in a corrupt society. According to biblical narrative, Noah was a good man who was selected by God to construct an ark in order to protect his family and pairs of every animal species from a devastating flood that was sent to rid the earth of evil. The story places a strong emphasis on his obedience, and the rainbow symbolized covenant God made with him following the flood. The Quran describes Noah's protracted battle with his people who disapproved of his message. It emphasizes his prayers and the divine order to construct the ark, which leads to the flood that acts as retribution against the unbelievers. These narratives emphasize themes of divine justice, faith, and tenacity. Number 8. Abraham. Abraham, who is honored for his strong faith and dedication to monotheism, is a key patriarch in both the Bible and the Quran. According to the Bible, he is called by God to leave his native country and is given the assurance that he will raise a great nation. One pivotal instance that demonstrates his faith is his readiness to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice in response to God's instruction. Although the Quran also tells this story, it customarily names Ishmael as the son who will be sacrificed, highlighting Abraham's position as an example of submitting to God's will. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, he is regarded as a founding figure that represents faith and obedience, and both texts honored his covenant with God. Number 7. Moses. Known for leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, Moses is one of the most well-known prophets in the Bible and the Quran. The Bible describes his miraculous birth in the book of Exodus, his meeting with God at the burning bush, and the subsequent plagues that God sent upon Egypt in order to convince Pharaoh to release the Israelites. The Red Sea parting and the giving of the 10 Commandments atop Mount Sinai represent the story's climax. The role of Moses as a prophet who challenges Pharaoh and demands the release of the Israelites is also emphasized in the Quran. It emphasizes his profound discussions with God and his miracles, like parting the sea and changing his staff into a serpent. Moses is portrayed in both texts as a lawgiver and a leader, emphasizing themes of faith, emancipation, and divine guidance. Number 6. Joseph. Joseph's story, found in both the Bible and the Quran, is one of tenacity, mercy, and divine providence. According to the Bible, Joseph's brothers sell him into slavery in Egypt because they are envious of his father Jacob's preference for him. Joseph overcomes many obstacles, including imprisonment, to become well known for his ability to decipher Pharaoh's dreams and ultimately prevent famine in Egypt. The story comes to a dramatic conclusion when he meets his brothers again and decides to forgive them for betraying him. A similar narrative is found in the Quran, which highlights Joseph's perseverance and trust in God through his hardships. It demonstrates his aptitude for dream interpretation as well as the moral lessons of forgiveness and faith in heavenly wisdom. These tales highlight the value of honesty and the conviction that God has a purpose for every person. Number 5. Job. Job is praised for his remarkable endurance and steadfast trust in God despite extreme adversity. The story of a wealthy man who loses his family, wealth, and health as a result of a test that God permitted is told in the Bible's book of Job. Job is incredibly suffering, but he doesn't curse God. Instead, he stays true to himself and his beliefs. Job maintains his righteousness despite his friends' attempts to justify his suffering as retribution for his transgressions. In the end, God turns around Job's circumstances and bestows upon him even more wealth. The Quran also describes Job's sufferings, highlighting his perseverance and his pleas for comfort. The ideas that true faith perseveres through hardship are reinforced by these texts, which emphasize the virtues of faith, patience, and the realization that suffering may be a necessary component of a divine test. Number 4. David. In both the Bible and the Quran, David is portrayed as a prophet, king, and warrior. He is well known in the Bible for his lowly beginnings as a shepherd and his famous victory over the enormous Philistine warrior Goliath, which proved his trust in God. As David ascends to the throne, he unites the tribes and makes Jerusalem the nation's capital. A large number of the Psalms, which demonstrate intense devotion and worship, are also attributed to him. David's kingship and prophetic role are acknowledged in the Quran, which also emphasizes David's justice and wisdom. It also highlights his extraordinary abilities, such as his capacity to converse with jinn and birds. David is honored in both cultures as a role model for leadership, faith, and devotion to God. Number 3. Solomon. Renowned for his unmatched wisdom, Solomon is a prominent figure in both the Bible and the Quran. He is described in the Bible as the son of David and is well known for his smart decisions, best known for his handling of 2 women who were competing to be the mothers of a child. Because of his wisdom, Solomon is able to construct the first temple in Jerusalem, which is a huge accomplishment. Similar to this, the Quran presents Solomon as a just and wise king, highlighting his capacity to interact with animals and command the winds and jinn. His wealth and achievements are shown in both texts, but they also include moral lessons about the perils of arrogance and the value of humility before God. The tale of Solomon serves as a reminder of the advantages of wisdom and the obligations that accompany authority. Number 2. Jonah. The story of Jonah, found in both the Bible and the Quran, is well known for his hesitant mission to preach to the people of Nineveh. Jonah is thrown overboard during a storm when he boards a ship in the Bible in an attempt to elude God's command. After being swallowed by a large fish, he spends 3 days and nights in prayer and introspection. He is eventually delivered and he proceeds to complete his task by inspiring Nineveh's citizens to turn from their sins. Analogously, the story of Jonah's prayer from inside the fish and his eventual return to his prophetic mission are highlighted in the Quran. In both texts, themes of repentance, divine mercy, and the significance of following God's instructions are emphasized, showing that even the most reluctant prophets can accomplish their divine mission. Number 1. Jesus. Jesus is a key character who is regarded as a prophet and God's messenger in both the Bible and the Quran. According to the New Testament, Jesus is the Son of God, and the Christian faith is based on his life, death, and resurrection. In addition to teaching forgiveness and love, he works miracles and places a strong emphasis on God's kingdom. However, the Quran does not acknowledge Jesus as divine or the Son of God, instead portraying him as a prophet born of the Virgin Mary who worked miracles with God's approval. According to the Quran, Jesus was not executed but rather raised by God, highlighting his function as a messenger who prophesied the arrival of Muhammad and verified the Torah. Jesus' moral precepts and teachings are emphasized in both writings, highlighting his importance within the larger framework of monotheistic and prophetic tradition. These stories underscore the shared history of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, as well as the value of moral rectitude and living a moral life in accordance with divine guidance. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.